Hi, I'm Dick Wagner. Welcome to the Crest Network. I want to talk to you today about 4 specific keys to good sales communication. The first of those keys is that people respond in kind. In other words, if you do a particular thing or say a particular thing, human nature tends to respond the same way. So if you smile, then they typically will smile. If you're all uptight, they're going to be all uptight. If you're extremely patient, very likely that they will be much more patient. Key number 2, people love stories. If we gave you a bullet pointed list of 10 things to do and to do them in the specific order that they were laid out in the bullet points, most of us couldn't remember only about half of them. And in fact, I have only 4 bullet points on this slide, and chances are really good you won't remember more than 2, maybe 3. But when it's done in the form of a story, number 1, it's easier to be understood. Number 2, it's so much easier to remember. And even stories that take longer are extremely effective. Every one of us at age of 20 or 30 or 40 or 60 remembers those early stories that we were taught as children. It doesn't matter if it was the 3 Little Pigs or Little Red Riding Hood. If those were done, if those were shared to us in the form of 10 or 15 or 20 bullet points, we wouldn't remember them. They wouldn't be memories for us. And if we put them in the form of a story, which those are, we remember great detail about those stories. The same applies when you're telling a story to your customer or to your client or your prospect. Number 3, questions control the conversation flow. In other words, when you ask specific but good questions, you guide the conversation, and the person asking the questions is the one that is in control. So if you as a salesperson or a marketer want and need to feel in control, and you should be in control to guide the direction of the sale, you need to be asking the questions. Ideally, open-ended questions. It also helps you keep the sale on track or the marketing message on track when you're asking key questions that guide the flow of the conversation to where you ultimately want it to be. And I've said this for years, the more powerful, the more thought-provoking, the more stunning the question that you ask, they feel smart because they feel like, wow, you're asking me that kind of a question? Holy cow, I've got to really think deep on that. And when they give you the answer, they feel really smart. And let's face it, we all want to feel really smart. And number 4, listening Oh, this is a hard one. Nobody likes to listen. We all want to be talking. Listening builds deep emotional connections. The more listening you do, the more likely they are going to feel closer to you. Listening closely to their answers also provides you with an amazing amount of clues. And if you are really good at hearing what they have to say, their answer, and then restating that answer, it shows them that you're listening. It shows them that you hear what they're saying. Sadly, very, very few people listen very well. But when you do, you gain one of the most powerful aspects of being a salesperson, and that is that it gives you differentiation. Differentiation is so crucial to you standing out and being considered and thought of as unique and special and valuable. It's always a trick to get your client to talk. One of the things that you can do to activate or get them talking, and especially talking about themselves, is what we call a self-disclosure loop. And that's simply done by you as the salesperson or the marketer pausing, stopping talking for 3 to 5 seconds. When you stop talking for 3 to 5 seconds, that's 5 seconds, folks. That seems like a long time. For you watching this video, that silence was deafening and it seemed like, what the heck happened? Did the sound go off? Did Dick Wagner quit talking? Pause for 3 to 5 seconds before you respond. And what will often happen is your prospect or that person in front of you will fill the silence by talking. And they will often talk about themselves, which is really cool because when people talk about themselves, they are feeling much, much closer to you. They trust you much, much more. And remember, 99% of the questions you ask should be open-ended questions. In other words, questions that they can't just answer yes or no to. We all, every one of us, I'm no different, we all like talking about ourselves. When we're at a meeting, at a party, at an event, and we're having a conversation with somebody, we like talking about ourselves. And in fact, we do in person about 60% of the time. And yeah, I just spent an hour this morning on social media, especially Facebook and Twitter. And in that environment, we talk about 80% about ourselves in social media. Why do we do that? Well, real easy. It makes us feel important. Yep, it makes us feel important. The problem is that when we talk about ourselves in the sales environment, it can kill the sales opportunity. It's more important to make others feel important. So get out of your self-centered world, put it behind you, walk away from it, and start doing things like using their name and use it often in the conversation. They will be overwhelmed, appreciative, and far more trusting of you. if you do it in a sincere manner. Remember something about them, something that's personal, but not something that's considered stalking. Personal, like, hey, how's your little puppy doing? Stalking would be like, do you go home alone at night? And do you park in the garage? And do you live alone? That's kind of a weird, perverted, stalking environment. Don't do that, for gosh sakes. But it's okay to remember some basic personal things about the other person. They like that. Also, do whatever you can to make others look good in front of others in public. And please don't forget to say thank you. It's one of those things that I try to practice constantly in every environment, whether I'm on the phone and I spend hours a day on the phone coaching with my clients. When I'm in person, whether it's at a restaurant or in a store buying something, I work hard to say please and thank you. It goes a long ways. Ask for advice to your prospect or your client or that person you're with, because when you do, they feel extremely valuable and they feel that you're genuinely interested in them and that you're curious, you care. Yeah, when your mouth is closed, typically your ears are open. Go out of your way to give compliments. And I want to put the word sincere in front of this. Go out of your way to give sincere compliments when it's appropriate. Don't do it ad nauseum. Don't do it just to do it. Do it out of sincerity. To get your prospect to talk, please use silence. If you want them to activate what we call the self-disclosure loop, begin with an easy opening question that they would want to answer, and then shut up and listen and let them answer. And after you think, and even maybe they think that they've fully answered the question, remain silent for 3 or 4 or 5 seconds. When you do, you are activating their self-disclosure loop and they will talk even more. And when they talk even more, reward their talking by listening carefully to what they're saying. Don't interrupt them. Don't act like you're rushing them through, and stop talking. So simply put, I want to recap very quickly 5 key things that I wanted and tried to share with you in this video. Number 1, people respond in kind. They will do or act the way you do or act. Think about this. Stick your hand out to shake your hand with somebody. Instinctively, they will respond in kind. They will take your hand and shake it. Remember that people love stories. We loved stories from when we were babies, when we were children, and we still love them today. Get in the habit of asking really good questions and then follow those questions up with shutting up and listening to what they have to say. Engage their self-disclosure loop by getting your prospect to talk, by shutting up, by leaving a gap of 3 or 4 or 5 seconds. You've trained yourself to tolerate that silence, but they haven't, and they will feel uncomfortable, and so they will talk and they will share. And last but not least, and this is really important, don't talk about yourself. The fact of the matter is, nobody really cares. I'm Dick Wagner. Thanks so much for watching the Crest Network. I really hope that this was an extremely valuable video for you. I hope you can put it into practice. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye-bye.